So hello and welcome to everyone who is tuning in for this live stream event, or some people, maybe you are watching a recording. That's great as well. We are gathering together live here on Discord, and also some people joining through YouTube for the purpose of looking at Zen teachings, Zen wisdom. And for the past few days, for a certain amount of days, we've been looking at particular text. There we go. Looking at a particular text from a Zen master named Guo Ru in the tradition of Zen master Sheng Yen, who is a monk from Taiwan. And today we will continue looking through that reading, exploring that reading together. Hopefully that sounds amenable or acceptable to everyone here. Even if you don't accept it, we're going to do it. So let's start by first getting settled in. So find your comfortable, stable position for your body and start to listen to your body. Start to tune the dial of your mind, of your awareness, of your attention to the body at this present moment. A good way to do that is to take a few deep intentional breaths, kind of bringing the mind home to the body at this present moment. That's where we start. We start with spiritual teachings, Zen teachings, getting into the deeper parts of reality. We start with listening to the body. That's the home of truth in real spirituality. In real meditation, we look to the body. So finding that comfortable, stable position for your body, beginning to take a few intentional breaths, bring the mind home to the body. Just start to notice and to listen to your heart, your lungs, your stomach at this present moment. It can be nice to close the eyes and feel your attention kind of turn around to the inside of your body. And just to get settled, comfortable, find your sincerity at this present moment. For those who are sincere enough, then the doorway of Zen, the doorway of enlightenment can certainly open for you. But for those of us who are easily discouraged, easily turned away at the first sign of discomfort or difficulty, you may find more success in the refrigerator than here. So we start to turn our attention towards the body, towards our present moment experiencing, and we may find that there is some uncomfortableness. But we notice it, we look at it, we listen to the breath, the body, the heart at this present moment. Just sitting, breathing, and being aware. So we will continue now with our reading of Master Guru's book, Knocking Gently on the Door of Chan. This word Chan means Zen. Sometimes I will read it as Zen. Please try to listen as a meditation, so as sincerely as you can to listen from your breath, to listen from your body, but also make sure that you are comfortable, and we will get into this reading together. If there's something that you don't understand or something sticks out to you that you would like clarification about, please do let me know. And along the way, I will try to add my own clarification if I feel something that's not clear. The practice. Patriarch Chan, Patriarch Zen, to drive out one wedge with another. The most distinctive feature of Patriarch Zen can be succinctly expressed as directly pointing to the mind and seeing the true nature in order to become a Buddha, that is, to become enlightened. In other words, the spirit of Patriarch Zen lies in its emphasis on seeing the true nature instead of meditative concentration or liberation. It tells us how to see our true nature clearly. If we can penetrate into all that our nature is endowed with, then in that moment of liberation, we are also endowed with meditative concentration. So that is if we can see into our true nature at this moment, if we can penetrate into the original mind, the absolute truth that is present right here at this moment, if we can penetrate into that, then in that moment of liberation, we are also endowed with meditative concentration. So those other things go along with it, speaking about becoming enlightened, seeing through to the truth, seeing through these false appearances. All the Buddha's teachings are meant to cure our mental afflictions. However, once these teachings achieve the remedy, more often than not, we become attached to them. So, all the Buddha's teachings are meant to cure our mental afflictions. However, once these teachings achieve the remedy, more often than not, we become attached to them. So we get attached to a certain teaching. To use an analogy, suppose a log is embedded in a crack on a stone wall. Obviously, it could be driven out with another piece of wood. The second wood, usually a solid block, serves as a wedge and remains embedded in the wall after the log is forced out. That is the reason why the Zen school dispenses with common practice methods, such as reciting mantras or the Buddha's name. Some practitioners use these methods in order to gain more blessings, prevent misfortunes, or to eliminate barriers in their lives. Even though this helps them to remove the first wedge, defilements, they often unwittingly cling to the second wedge, the method. As the ancient sages put it, we have to drive out one wedge with another. We have to remove the second wedge as well, so as to see emptiness and true wisdom. The method of Hua To is what we use as the second wedge. So the disposition, the pointing, the instruction in the Zen school is to let go of all attachments, let go of all appearances, let go of anything that you are hanging on to. Any you that's doing anything is wrong because there's a self that's been set up. There's an other that's been set up. There's something being used that's been set up. And so naturally you will have attachment to this, and you will have an inability to be free in any and all situations. So many Buddhist schools and teachers advise for a certain kind of reciting the Buddha's name or reciting mantras as a way to build merit or build blessings, build meditative concentration, build peace of mind, what have you. But in the Zen school, the emphasis is especially not to get stuck on a method, but also to detach from the method, to abandon it. So the method that is used for this is called huato, no abiding. No abiding. In the common gradual practices like samatha vipassana, or the 4 meditative levels in the form realm and the 4 in the formless realm, practitioners focus on a single object with contemplation or mindfulness to transform the lax and distracted mind into a unified and relaxed state. At the same time, they are clearly aware of whatever happens in the process, including all the mental and physical changes, and the connection between the mind and the object. Then, by means of the analysis of the object as emptiness, as impermanent, the perception of the object's nature as emptiness, or the perspective of dependent arising, they perceive with wisdom and penetrate the unified body and mind without abiding in it, and thus see the profundity of all phenomena. So this is speaking about the common method of taking a single object for your meditation. So here we often take as a single object of our meditation the breath. So you are to give your full, wholehearted attention to the breath as it flows in, as it flows out, watching the breath when the mind gets distracted, bringing the mind back to the breath. So this is to transform the lax and distracted mind into a unified, concentrated, and relaxed state. Okay? At the same time, being aware of what's happening in this whole process, being aware of the arising and passing away of phenomena, and also being aware of the qualities of mind that you happen to be going through, and your ability or inability to connect directly with your meditation method, staying with the breath, following the breath. Then, by a means of analysis of the object of the breath or the mantra or the sensations in the body, by an analysis, by very looking closely, we see that object to be impermanent, to be empty. And so we then see through, perceiving with wisdom, we penetrate through the impermanence or the permanence. We penetrate, we see through the appearance of that object of our meditation. We see through the meditation method itself. There's nothing there to begin with. There's nothing to get stuck on. Perceive with wisdom, and then see the profundity of all phenomena. So all phenomena become the meditation method. Awareness itself, noticing itself, becomes the meditation method. As these methods help us practice step by step, we experience gradual progress and improvement in body and mind, and have a sense of solidity. Patriarch Zen is different from this gradual process. It helps us to arouse a sense of doubt and keep it in mind in the very beginning, and then to constantly deepen the practice with the sense of doubt. Doubt. What is this? Who are you? What is happening right now? Who are you? Someone comes in. Who are you? You don't just say, oh, yes, what do you need? What do you want? Who are you? What's going on? What is this? Who am I? Who is sitting here? Who is talking now? Whose house is this? Okay. So, Patriarch Zen is different from this gradual process. It helps us to rouse a sense of doubt, a sense of wonder, and keep it in mind in the very beginning, and then to constantly deepen the practice with the sense of doubt. With this method, we will also achieve a unified and relaxed state and know clearly any change or sensation in our body and mind, just as we do with gradual meditation methods. But we don't recognize these changes on purpose or pay attention to them. We are aware of their arising and let them go, devoting ourselves wholeheartedly to the questioning until we are naturally connected to meditative concentration and wisdom. Okay, so devoting ourselves wholeheartedly to the questioning, just like the prompts that I was saying. Okay, so who is sitting here following the breath? What is this? This is how you would approach it, these kinds of questions, to invoke this sense of doubt. What was my original face before my parents were born? Devoting ourselves wholeheartedly to the questioning, which supports this doubt to come up, until we are naturally connected to meditative concentration and wisdom. In Huatou, which is the name of this method, we keep questioning until all the mental and physical sensations completely disappear. The Huatou practice of Patriarch Zen takes away any dependence on body and mind, or even the dependence on the Buddha's teaching. As the Zen masters admonished, don't turn to the Buddha, the Dharma, or the Sangha for help. Everything is to be eliminated, to be denied over and over again. Whether it is the understanding of the awakened or ordinary people, even the thought of denial should be given up. With no dependence, not depending on anything, all forms of mental cognition suddenly perish. Then we really become one with the sense of doubt and the doubt mass. Therefore, in this meditation practice, we need to have the right view in the first place, that there is nothing that we can abide in. Okay? So there is nothing that we can truly abide in. There is nothing that we can stay with. There is nothing solid. The house isn't solid. The body isn't solid. Mental phenomena and experiences aren't solid. Our worries, our fears, our ideas, our beliefs are not solid, and they cannot be abided in. They cannot be relied on. They are just temporary. Our job, our money, our technology, it's not solid, and so it cannot be abided in. We cannot stay in it. We cannot stay with it. It's temporary. As the Zen masters admonished, don't even turn to the Buddha, the Dharma, or the Sangha for help. Everything is to be eliminated, to be denied over and over again, whether it is the understanding of the awakened or ordinary people. Even the thought of denial should be given up. With no dependence, all forms of mental cognition suddenly disappear. Then we really become one with the sense of doubt and the doubt mass. Therefore, in this meditation practice, we need to have the right view in the first place, that there is nothing we can abide in. We never rely on anything or stay in any mental or physical state. We use Huatou only to unify our body and mind, so as to arouse a sense of doubt. So don't try to get any answer or anything from the Huatou itself. To abide anywhere is not meditation practice. If we can arise from the doubt sense, naturally we can realize the mind functions with no abiding. Investigating Huatou. Huatou practice can be traced back to a dialogue between the sixth patriarch Hui Neng and General Hui Ming, who chased after the master for his robe and alms bowl, symbols of Dharma transmission in the Zen school. So this talking about a story of a Zen master from the Platform Sutra, Hui Neng, and he was kind of like a peasant and an uneducated person. And one day he heard this Zen teaching, the Diamond Sutra. He heard it being chanted, and he kind of had an awakening. So then he went to this Zen temple and spoke with this master, and had a dialogue. And then eventually, there was a competition to see who was the most enlightened at the temple. And the senior monk at that temple, very well educated and very wise and well known, presented this poem. Okay, the Bodhi tree is beautiful, and everything can be seen through, and etc., etc. And then Hui Neng, overnight, wrote a response to that poem and said, "There is no Bodhi tree. Where can dust fall? Where can difficulties fall? There's nothing to begin with." And so at that point, this Zen master gave his robe and bowl to that fool, that person who was not educated but had an understanding, experience of enlightenment. And he told Hui Neng, what this story is about, he told Hui Neng, "Okay, I'm giving you the robe and bowl. This represents that I am transferring or kind of giving my authority to you. And now you must continue the Zen lineage, okay? The Zen tradition." And so he said, "But you need to go and stay in the mountains. You need to go away for, a few years or something." So now the morning comes, and everyone hears about what happened, that this peasant, this uneducated person, was given the robe and bowl. So this character, General Hui Ming, comes to chase him down to go and get that robe and bowl, because he was didn't approve. People were very confused. So he chased after the master for his robe and alms bowl, these symbols of Dharma transmission in the Chan school, the Zen school. But when Hui Ming caught up with the patriarch, rather than steal his robe and bowl, he begged to be taught the Dharma. Master Hui Neng asked him, "When you make no distinction between good and evil, what is your original face?" Christina, when you make no distinction between good and evil, what is your original face?
You want me to answer that question? Well, it's the Buddha face then. Not good, not bad. Or
I don't think that's quite it. So the point, Christina, is don't try to get an answer. Don't try to get an answer from anything, especially the Huatou itself. But rather it's the the asking, the investigation, the questioning that is at the heart of the Hua To. So when I make no distinction between good and evil, what is my original face? It could even be, what is my original face? That pulls us in, that gives us this interest, this sincerity to question, to build this doubt. Okay? Where was I before I was born? Where was I? What was my original face before my parents were born? Now, if you just ask this in an intellectual way, then there's no doubt that you're going to generate or to arise. So you actually have to ask it. You really have to question it with a sincerity. When you make no distinction between good and evil, what is your original face? But here you change it, when I make no distinction between good and evil, what is my original face? So that could be a Hua To that you could use if you can arise this sense of doubt, right? Well, what the real questioning, not knowing and not taking an easy answer, but the questioning itself, the arising of doubt itself. Okay? Continue with the reading? All right.
Bhante, one question,
Yeah.
if I might. So why do they talk about an original face instead of something like an original spirit or original mind or original nature? Like, what is it about the face that's interesting here?
It's your face that you don't want to get slapped. Your original spirit, you don't care if it gets slapped or if it gets spit on or disrespected, because it doesn't mean anything. But your face has a great meaning, a great importance to all of us, okay? And it has throughout history, throughout the Egyptians and everyone. Your face is very important to your ego, your someone, your something, your social situation, your social position, your societal position, etc., etc., etc. So this original face means this original you, okay? You. I don't know the Chinese translation exactly, but it's speaking in this way for something that is alive and fresh and accessible. It's not spiritual. Okay, it's not your spirit. It's not your whatever, whatever, whatever. It's your face.
Very interesting. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. And maybe there's something in the Chinese translation about it, but I don't have that in front of me, so the Chinese character for face. But if maybe we can also look at it this way. For what I said is right. What's your original spirit? What the heck are you talking about? Okay? When you go to Walmart and you say, "Hey, have you seen my original spirit?" They're not going to know what you're talking about. But if you say, "Have you seen my face?" or say, "I'm looking at you. What's going on?" Right? So this face is accessible to all of us, is normal. If you cut off your hand, okay, all right. If you cut off both of your hands, okay, all right. If you cut off both of your arms, okay, all right. We can go to Walmart, we can make do, we can do what we have to do. If you don't have a face, things are very, very different. Okay? It's not going to be a situation that is going to be comfortable in Walmart. Okay, so it's your face that is very important. How you see yourself, how you see the world. Your eyes are here, your nose is here, your mouth is here, your ears are here, very close to your face, right? So the face is a good one. But it's not about, why do they say face? It's about cultivating doubt. So I attended a Hua To retreat previously with in the tradition of the master, in the tradition that this master is a part of, that we're reading from. And the Hua To that I was using was, what is this? What is this? And so just like to repeat that internally and generate this doubt, who was I before my parents were born? You could also say it like that. You could say, if it arises doubt in you, what was my original spirit before I was born? But I don't know what an original spirit is. So any question that can arise doubt. Another example is in Chinese Buddhism, okay, there's a very common practice of reciting Amitofo. Amitofo, 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 Amitofo. And this is in the Pure Land School. Okay, it's a major school of Buddhism in China. So there is a Huatou who is reciting the Buddha's name. Who is reciting Amitofo? Who is Namo Amida Buddha? Who is the person sitting here practicing meditation? Quite a few people think making no distinction between good and evil means we ought to make our mind go completely blank. That is a big mistake. In fact, it means to have no attachment to such forms as good and evil, right and wrong, or gain and loss. If we consider these forms to be real, attachment arises and is followed by discrimination, which leads to actions, and thus the cycle of birth and death. What we have to do is avoid extremes while seeing all phenomena as they really are. This is what the original face really means. So there you go, Jonathan. In the very beginning, the sixth patriarch told us, since nothing really exists, where exactly is the defilement? The human mind is perfect and pure. As long as we see our own pure nature, we are Buddhas here and now. We don't accept such a simple fact, but become attached to forms and have all kinds of discrimination and get caught up in situations. That obscures our pure mind, and we think there is something which is contaminated by the defilement, and which needs to be scrubbed and wiped clean before it is bright again. In that case, Zen masters had no choice but to offer something like a Huatou, so that we could have something to chew over to get a sense of our own practice. The term Huatou, literally the head, the source of a word or a thought, refers to what exists before a thought is conceived and uttered. What has not yet been spoken is in fact not a word. But even the unspoken can be taken as words if any sound or image about it arises in the mind. What then is that which exists before it is conceived and uttered? Is it the true mind? Or is it the original face with no distinction between good and evil? If we don't get it, we need to ask, to investigate. That is called investigating the Huatou. The term Huatou refers to what exists before a thought is conceived and uttered. What has not yet been spoken is in fact not a word. but even the unspoken can be taken as words if any sound or image about it arises in the mind. What then is that which exists before it is conceived and uttered? Is it the true mind? Or is it the original face with no distinction between good and evil? If we don't get it, we need to ask, to investigate. That is called investigating the Huatou. What is the true mind? What is your original face with no distinction between good and evil, Jonathan? Are you there, Jonathan? Do you have an answer?
I am. I don't know that I do have an answer. I was trying to
Okay.
come up with something. I'm absorbing.
Okay, so if we don't get it, we need to ask, to investigate. That is called investigating the Huatou. A good Huatou is elusive. It is a living word which corners us in a dead end, stopping all thought and imagination in our mind. In contrast, if a Huatou arouses various speculations and discriminating thoughts, it is a dead word. An example of this would be how you react to the question, what does Buddha refer to? You may have a clear idea of who the Buddha was and believe that he was one who not only became enlightened, but helped others to do the same, who was perfect in blessings and wisdom, and who was endowed with 3 insights and 6 supernatural powers. You may also think of Amitabha or any other Buddha. Even the thought, I also want to become a Buddha, may come to your mind. But because this question results in mere speculation and random thought, it is a dead word. During meditation retreats, at first Master Sheng Yen did not restrict us to any one Huatou. We were sometimes taught to ask, who is being mindful of the Buddha? Or who is it before birth? In the walking meditation period, he thundered, who is dragging this corpse along? In the sitting period, he exhorted, who is sitting here with mortal flesh? Closely related to our lives, each of these questions arouse a sense of doubt. According to my personal experience, who is dragging this corpse along was the most useful Huatou. Who was I once my breathing stopped? I was more closely connected to such a Huatou because I had suffered from a very serious illness and thus feared death. It was easier for this Huatou to arouse a sense of doubt in me. After a sense of doubt arose, I often felt something seemingly appearing before my very eyes. It was as if a beam of light appeared in my mind, as if there was something or some state I could hold on to or attain. It is inaccessible if we try to get into it. Only when our mind has no intention can we gain access. Once entering the state, we will find it wonderful or even believe it to be enlightenment. We will be doomed with such a misconception, for it is merely a physical and mental change in the state of meditative concentration. Many people are stuck in this state, believing they are enlightened, and thus get trapped in the practice of wild Zen. Therefore, such a huatou as "Who is dragging this corpse along?" or "Who is sitting here with mortal flesh?" may sometimes make Zen practitioners mistakenly believe that there is something to pursue, to obtain, that there are a truly existing object, a real practitioner, and even an attainable state. In that case, it is impossible to be connected to the true mind of purity. So in his later meditation instruction, my master adopted the huatou wu, literally non-existent. That's what this Chinese character means. Advocated by Master Dehui Zonggao. The huatou, what is wu, is derived from a koan. Chan Master Zhao Zhao was asked, "Does a dog have Buddha nature?" Sometimes he answered in the affirmative, but at other times he answered wu, meaning no or non-existent. Most people understood when the answer was affirmative, for according to Buddhist scriptures, all sentient beings are endowed with the same wisdom and virtue as the Buddha. And it was believed that all sentient beings could become Buddhas in the future. But it was a puzzle when the master gave the negative answer. So people began to investigate why a dog would not have Buddha nature. The purpose of this practice is to arouse a sense of doubt with a koan. You may wonder, both dogs and I are sentient beings. If dogs don't have Buddha nature, do I have it or not? Thus, the koan gives your mind something to work on, so that at first you are caught in the situation of inherent existence, where there is something real you can investigate, something real you can cut off. This way you can at best reach the original bright essence of the pure mind. In other words, your consciousness is crystal clear without any fluctuation, and performs various wondrous functions and virtues. The problem is that you can hardly get connected with the true wisdom of emptiness because you are entangled with meditative concentration and a certain wondrous form of the mind. What's worse, you may even be caught in demonic states, such as the 50 false states caused by the 5 aggregates. So at the heart of this practice is, do not get attached, do not get stuck, do not get entangled in anything. Especially do not get entangled in what you think is special meditation experience or something like that. It's just another trap. In view of this problem, Dehui Zonggao suggested distilling the huatou down to wu, meaning non-existent. With dogs have no Buddha nature as the huatou, you may think of dogs, yes or no, and so on. Then you are still caught in duality. With nothing but the word wu, the simplest huatou, no thoughts of good versus bad or right versus wrong will come to your mind. The word wu is as sharp as the diamond, the Vajra sword, the wisdom sword, the diamond sword, which can cut through all defilements. Keeping the huatou in mind with a sense of doubt, we can eliminate a variety of practice problems, such as distraction and torpor, However, if we try to grasp this precious sword, we are sure to get wounded, for it is not something that inherently exists. It is but a tool. Our intention to hold it brings harm. In the beginning, this Huatou enables you to deal with a variety of problems in practice. As you advance, it can also help you penetrate illusory experiences, because Wu reminds you that these situations are not real. You won't stay in them. It is true that the Huatou, what is Wu, is special, but if it does not work for you, okay, so we find a Huatou that works for us. We find a Huatou that raises this doubt sensation, this doubt experience. So, Jonathan, if you had a Huatou of, what was my original spirit before my parents were born, if that works for you, if that brings you into doubt, then that's fine. But if it makes you think about your parents or original spirit and what's that and what's this, then that's an issue. So, it is true that the Huatou, what is Wu, is special. But if it does not work for you, certainly you can try. Who is dragging this corpse along? Or who is the owner of this mortal flesh? Or some other Huatou. Whatever you adopt, the key is to do nothing but keep the Huatou in mind as you practice. As is often quoted in the Zen school, both the mental and verbal paths come to an end. Any path of thinking, discrimination, or speculation is blocked, and there are no verbal expressions. The moment you find nothing to ask, and no forms of body and mind, all of a sudden you are in touch with the pure nature, and the cause of neither arising nor perishing becomes one with the consequence of neither arising nor perishing. The investigation of a Huatou can be divided into 5 phases: to raise, to keep, to ask, to investigate, and to watch the Huatou. So it looks like our morning time sessions are going to become a Huatou morning. We will maybe spend some time in the next days where we emphasize more to practice the Huatou, and tomorrow, when we meet together, we will look more closely at this methodology of raising, keeping, asking, investigating, and watching this Huatou, which is a really special kind of meditation method that we can try out and experiment with together. Okay? Anyone have any questions? Yes, Christina, yes.
Yes, I have thought about this. It's not important because it's impermanent. Why is it not important because of that? Do you understand what I mean?
Who told you that it's not important?
You did?
Me?
No, you shouldn't hold. You shouldn't hold on to anything. You should detach because it's impermanent. But I see if I know that it's impermanent or it has a time limit, it becomes more precious, also.
If you know that it's impermanent, then that is beyond important or not important. The importance that you give to it is important. But whether it is inherently important or not is not the case. It's inherently temporary. So you should be aware of
Yes.
that from the start. If you give
That is
importance to
temporary.
it,
Yes.
yeah, if you give importance to it, then it's important. If you don't, then it's not. But it is, comes up and it goes away,
Yes.
you know? I think in terms of important or not important, you should try to do your best to take care.
Mm.
I think there are many things that are important to me, right? There are many things that are important to me, many things that are precious to me. But I also kind of keep with that importance that I give to them, this understanding that this is totally impermanent, and in a living way, not in a dead way of, well, yeah, I understand not everyone lives forever, but that whatever I give importance to is right there at the start of me giving importance to it is completely impermanent, completely temporary. And that does make it precious. But I recognize the impermanence, and I find that as a kind of a balancing point in dealing with important things and precious things in my life. It doesn't matter how much importance you give to something, it's still impermanent. And it's also not separate from everything else, right? It's a part of everything else. So it doesn't exist separately from anything else, to keep in mind. It's not permanent, to keep in mind. And then it's also not, whatever it is, it's not going to satiate your thirst. The best relationship that you can have with the most important person in your life is not going to satiate or kind of calm this unsatisfactoriness that we feel, this lack of fulfillment, this lack of completeness, this lack of freedom. Even that important thing being exactly what you want it to be, still not going to fulfill, because it's still going to be impermanent. And it's still not going to exist separate from anything else.
Yes. Yeah, okay. I will think about it.
Okay. Thank you, Christina.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
If I say something and you think it's unskillful or wrong, make sure to check me right at that moment so we can all keep tabs, okay? To question, to be curious, and to explore together. That's the heart of it, right? Okay, so a friendly neighbor is going to take me out to lunch. So we will wrap up and I'll get ready to go. And in finishing, we can all bring our hands together and we'll just make 3 sadhus. Excellent, wonderful, well done. And appreciate this time that we have together. Okay, welcome to chant sadhu with me. Can take a deep breath. And we can make a bow. Okay. Thank you all for being here. See you. Is it Friday? See you tonight for Buddha Book Club. 9 hours from now, about 8 hours from now. Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Enjoy your lunch.
Thank you so much.